und ich begrüße euch alle herzlich zu unserer Inspirational Journey heute nach Chile mit Tropic. Wer Tropic schon kennt, ihr wisst vielleicht, dass sie nicht nur Chile betreuen, sondern auch Ecuador, Galapagos und Peru. Heute gehen wir aber auf eine tolle Reise nach Chile und ich switch jetzt auch gleich zu Englisch hier mit Maru. Hello from Peru now, I think. You're joining us from Peru, and Maru is our commercial manager from Tropic, and also Francisca, she's now in Chile from the sales team, and they will let us know everything about Chile today. And over to you, ladies.
Thank you so much, Corina. Hello, thank you so much for joining in our webinar. Well, you know, Chile is such a beautiful and big country. Our goal is to go through the different regions of Chile and give you a little taste of the amazing difference that there is between each of them and all the different possibilities that you can do with us. So it's going to be me and Fran. Fran is our expert in Chile as well. She's based in Santiago with our Chile team. And she will be your contact person whenever you have any request for Chile as well. So just a small recap on who we are. Most of you know us, but still, just to be sure that we are all in the same page. We are Tropic. We are a DMC that operates in Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. Actually, we started in Ecuador 30 years ago, working with the Guarani indigenous communities in the Amazon. Back in the day, it was an experiment. No one was really working with communities, and we wanted to do an eco-lodge with them. So our beginnings are really rooted in hardcore ecotourism, working in places where logistics were complicated and where you had to be a bridge between the local cultures and the people that wanted to understand and visit them. So we started like that. Fast forward 31 years, actually, we are now a full-on DMC, and we have our offices in Quito, in the Galapagos, in Lima, where I'm based, in Cusco as well, and of course in Chile, in Santiago, that we've been operating in Santiago already in Chile for already 2 years. And even though we've grown, we are still made of small local teams that are passionate, like Fran, about their countries and that are willing to share it with your clients. So our invitation to your guest is to listen and connect to these amazing ecosystems and places where we have the privilege of exploring. That's the invitation, after Humboldt was here and made amazing discoveries and was setting a mark for all excursionists and travelers. We want you to have that, open eyes and heart to understand the complexities of these places. So with that being said, welcome to Chile. As probably many of you know, Chile is a land of diverse landscapes. It's a very special place because it's very long. In fact, it's the longest country of the world. But it's also very narrow, and it has very strict borders. In one hand, you have the Pacific Ocean, and on the other hand, you have the Andes, which are the natural border with Argentina. So that gives Chile a very special landscape and also the possibility to go from the high Andes to the sea in very little time. Okay, so that's something that we sometimes do for some clients that want to go up in the mountain and then off to have a nice seafood picnic by the sea. That's something that can be done by helicopter in Chile. So it has more than 4,300 kilometers of longitude from north to south. And as you probably know, it has such amazing contrast because you have the driest desert of the world in the north, and then the Patagonia, which is near Antarctica, which is very big source of water filled with glaciers. It's also home to over 4,500 endemic species to discover. So nowadays, people that are looking into exploring and wildlife observation, Chile is a must-see. We've seen an increase in puma tracking experiences. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we reach Patagonia, but that's also very important to know. And of course, we have the mystery of Rapa Nui or Easter Island, still not completely understood, part of Polynesia, but now part of Chile. That's also one of the main sites that people want to visit when they arrive to Chile. So we have Easter Island with the mystery and the ancient Moais, and we also have other indigenous cultures like the Mapuches in the southern area of Chile as well. So, like we were saying, it's home to 10% of the known biodiversity and contains the largest number of freshwater fish species in the world, thanks to the Humboldt Current that comes from Antarctica. Chile has also two varieties of penguins, like the king penguin, the emperor penguin here, and of course the Humboldt penguin. And now we are going to enter a little bit deeper into each of the regions. So this is Chile. Let me find. People will usually arrive to Santiago, that's the capital, and from them they will fly to the beloved destinations, So either it will be Atacama or it would be probably Patagonia, which are like the hits in Chile, or maybe Rapa Nui. But as you can imagine, flights are around 2 hours, 2 hours and a half, 3 hours. So it's not just next door, and that's very important to take into consideration when we're planning a trip to Chile. Even though sometimes in the map it looks very near, it's not. So you need at least sometimes one day in between to go from one region to the other. Plus, the other important thing to know is that you will always pass through Santiago. So that's also something to take into account when you plan a trip to Chile. So if you want to go from Santiago to Atacama, then you have to return to Santiago and then off you go to Patagonia or to Puerto Varas. But Santiago will always be the connecting point, okay? So these are some of the routes that you have. So from Santiago, you can fly to Puerto Montt, and then you fly to Puerto Natales or Punta Arenas. From Santiago, you fly to Calama, which is where the airport at Atacama is located. From Santiago, you fly to Easter Island. Okay? Just an idea to give you a sense of location or where the different highlights or the most well-known places of Chile are located. So if we start in the north, we have the northern regions, and these are characterized by the desert. The surroundings, the context for the development of this experience will be the driest desert in the world, Atacama. So Atacama is also the archaeological capital of Chile. It has archaeological sites. It has landscapes that are unique, like the Moon Valley. It also connects with Uyuni salt pans from Bolivia. You have also a flourishing community of people in Atacama, of native people. Licanantay are the name of the indigenous groups. So, it's not only about the landscape here, it's also about getting to meet the people and witness the dramatic changes of scenery that happened in the desert. This is 2 hours from Santiago here. Okay, and then after you arrive, it's around 1 hour, 15 minutes from Calama Airport to San Pedro de Atacama. We recommend here at least 3 nights. That's also very important. It's not worth it to have all these big trips just to be 2 nights. So it's always about taking it a little bit deeper. Some of the experiences that we have around Atacama are, of course, surrounding the volcanoes, picnics in the middle of the desert, maybe watching the sunrise with a breakfast, maybe in the afternoon, also exploring San Pedro town, which is very sweet. It's touristic, it's fun, it's also international in that sense, but it's very sweet and has a very strong charisma. And there's other iconic experiences like the star observation. Atacama is probably one of the places in the world that has the best star observation. The Tatio glaciers are also one of the unique experiences in Atacama. Of course, the Moon Valley. And we have also included some experiences with artisans, which is part of the Tropics essence. Always celebrate the culture, especially the intangible cultures. And we have experiences around the weavers of Socaire. And we have this new one that we really love. It's a cooperative of indigenous people that have formed a cooperative, and they are producing wine, which is really cool because it's not only the driest desert in the world, but it's also high. So this is a high altitude, very dry weather wine called Ayu, and it's delicious. So the invitation here is to go to this vineyard, taste the wine, and understand the process with the cooperative of growers over here. And again, Chile is also really well known because of the amazing infrastructure it has. It has a lot of luxurious options. It has developed really well in that sense. So there are many cool options to stay and for your guests that have a strong sense of place and have very well tailored and very well thought experiences and service around the hotels. So we have Nayara Atacama, for instance. We also have Awasi. You see, it's very strong sense of place, local materials, celebrating the local cultures through the different textiles as well. Desertica is another option. And of course, Tierra hotels. And Fran, I haven't let you talk. Do you want to add anything to what we've said about Atacama?
Yes, hi everyone. Yes, I would like to add that it's important to know that, as Maru said, San Pedro is located in a high altitude location. So we have to take into consideration if maybe you have passengers traveling that might have some health issues, to inform that, because most of the excursions are done over the 2,500 meters above sea level. So it's important to know that. And also add that San Pedro is a very complete place. You can find, of course, the hotels Maru have just mentioned, like Nayara, Tierra, and Awasi, that are all-inclusive hotels. The excursions and the transfers and all meals are included in the package. But also we have amazing boutique hotels like Desertica, also our Habitats. These hotels offer different experiences. We can offer half or full board or even bed and breakfast. And we have our local supplier in San Pedro that they do excursions, but they are really they really care about the environment, and they can even give like and the information of the carbon print that the guests leave when they do the excursions. They also have the recycled water of bottles. They also the backpacks are made from recycled publicities, like the how do you say, Marula, como las pancartas?
You know, the advertisement banners
The
that you find
advertisement, yes.
on the roads.
So yes, so everything is thought to be sustainable. So that's why we chose to work with those suppliers. So yes.
Yes. Thank you, Fran.
You're welcome.
So yeah, many different options in San Pedro. And now, you know, we've been in the north. Now we move to the south, to the central region where Santiago is located. So Santiago is one of the main characteristics of Santiago is that you see the Cordillera from the city, which is very iconic. And I feel that for people in Chile, now they're constantly seeing if there's snow or there's no snow in the Cordillera, which is nice. And that's why many people also go and do some ski activities during winter. So Santiago is the city of the island hills, because there's different hills around the city that are very important to the geography and the city itself. It has beautiful panoramic city views, and it's also a very cosmopolitan city as well. So our proposal to be in Santiago is at least 2 nights. And remember that if you're going to go to different regions of Chile, you will constantly pass through Santiago. So that's why, for example, when you start, you can stay in a hotel in Santiago, but then if you return from Atacama, you can maybe stay at Viña, or, at the end of the trip, maybe we can organize a couple of days in the vineyard so people just relax and drink beautiful wine and have nice meals. So, Fran will be always there holding your hand to make sure that the trip makes sense and that we are not constantly repeating, for example, Santiago, that has beautiful hotels, but still the idea is to explore the surroundings because besides the city, which is very interesting, we do some experiences around street food. We believe that food is one of the main elements to understand culture. We also visit art and handcraft exponents. Chile has lapis lazuli, which is this beautiful blue stone, and we visit a jeweler that actually works with lapis lazuli and understand why lapis lazuli is so important. And I believe it's only Chile and Iran that has lapis lazuli today. So it's a big part of the identity of Chile. And we also explore San Cristobal Hill, which is very iconic. And from there, we see the city and drink the typical mote con huesillo, which is cereal with peach, that it's very classic street food from Chile. So in all the experiences that we share, we look to actually give a strong sense of place and that people can be able to understand the destination from a deeper perspective. So it's not only the city tour, but it's walking around Santiago City, trying the local food, meeting some of the artisans as well, and understanding a rich history. Chile has also a strong political history. And for people interested in that, in understanding how were the years, for example, of Pinochet in the 70s, they can go to the Museum of Reconciliation and Truth, and we can organize tours that match the interest of your clients. But again, like we were saying, food is always an option and everybody enjoys having a great meal, and it is the perfect vehicle to understand the culture. So we have different experiences around food as well. First of all, Chilean seafood is really well known because thanks to the Humboldt Current that it's so cold, there are great products like centolla, which is a very big crab, or you have the erizos, that I don't know what's the name in English, this. So there's many things around seafood. And we have a really cool experience where we go with Tatan, which is a local chef, and we go to the market with him, choose what are we going to eat, and then off we go to his apartment. And he lives in a really nice residential area of Santiago, and we cook with him in his apartment, which is much more private and cozy than going to a restaurant to have a cooking class. It's actually being with the chef, understanding all the dynamics on how to choose the seafood, and then going to his apartment to actually cook it and see how he lives. He has Chilean art in his walls, and he will be telling stories of his childhood in Santiago while he's also cooking the meal. We also have another experience where people can go to a farm that it works all in sustainable ways, and they see how it all works together and then have a nice meal. So we have different options around that as well. And just an hour away from Santiago, we have Valparaíso and Viña del Mar. But we love Valparaíso, which is bohemian air and the graffitis. We have some experiences where people can make their own graffitis as well and understand why graffiti, has grown to be an art now. It's not only about painting at night without the police seeing you anymore. Now it's also about art, and it has a different seat at the table of the arts. And the story of Valparaíso is also pretty interesting as a port. Plus, it's a very picturesque area as well. And here we have some really nice boutique hotels. Like this one is Saica La Flora, and it's owned by a couple that runs the hotel. It oversees the ocean. It's beautiful. And there we have also Casa Blue. So there are different options to stay also in Valparaíso and have a sense of this place with small local shops all around. In the case of Santiago, we have here a selection of some of our favorite properties. We love Hotel Vidasoa. it's really nice because it's also family owned, and you have the owners living in the last floor of the hotel, and it is located in an area of Chile, of Santiago, Vitacura, where you have the malls and all the good restaurants. So it has really great location, a really great restaurant, super nice for vegetarians because they have really nice vegetarian options. Plus, it's beautiful. We also have La Ref. This is probably my personal favorite. It's in El Porvenir area in a really nice and picturesque street, and it feels like home. In fact, they have in the kitchen all the time different pastries and teas and coffees and things for you. Even, you know, if you have if you want a midnight snack, you can walk to the kitchen and have that. They also have an honest bar where you can pour wine and relax. And of course, it feels like a small house from the early 1920s. The Singular is one of the most well-known hotels in Santiago. It's located in La Starria district, within the Bohemian district, you know, a lot of street life in that area. And you have also the street vendors, so it's also very picturesque, and it has amazing service. It's beautiful. We have Magnolia, also a boutique hotel. It's a small house, really nice. And then, of course, you can always go to the vineyards. So we can run experiences that are a full day from Santiago to the vineyards and explore boutique vineyards like Re, or we can decide and stay in one of the vineyards. So it will depend on what your clients are looking for. There are plenty of options in Chile to explore wine, different kinds of wine. We also work with women producers. So if someone wants to understand more that or biodynamic wines, we can organize that. And if people want to actually stay in the vineyard, we have 3 options that we like. It's Closa Palta, which is a relais chateau, beautiful cabins, you know, overseeing the vineyards. We also have Viña Vic, much more about art and modern architecture, and La Casona, which is more old school, more relaxed, more, you know, sweet in a way. You know, it's more romantic in a way. They are all small. They don't host a lot of people, and they all have really nice meals and, of course, amazing wine. And you can also do some excursions around the vineyards. For instance, in La Casona, we can organize some bird watching in the nearby area where they have a really well done, I don't know how you say, it's a viewpoint for birds, but it has been really well done thanks to the interpretation. There's a lot of interpretation, and they talk about the migration of the birds. So you can combine not only drinking wine, but if you want, you can go and see a little bit of the fauna of the area. Plus, of course, in all of these cases, you have trekkings, bikings, or just be there and relax. That's why, if it makes sense, we can put one of these experiences at the end of an itinerary, you know, after you've done your excursions and you've sort of tested yourself and walked and maybe did some treks in Patagonia. You, instead of going to the beach, you can relax drinking wine here in one of these amazing places. Fran, I don't know if you want to add anything to the central region and Santiago.
Yes, I want to take this time to encourage you to book more than 1 or 2 nights in Santiago, because as Maru said, the central region is rich in not only vineyards, but also we have Cordillera de los Andes real nearby. So if people are interested in trekking, if they're interested in sightseeing, in wines, of course, food, traveling from Santiago to Valparaiso is really accessible. So, and on their way to Valparaiso, they can stop at 2 or 3 vineyards. So I take this time to explain that Santiago, it's not only the capital of Chile, but it's a rich region that you can stay more than 1 or 2 nights.
Thank you, Fran. And that's true, huh? Sometimes people just want to leave Santiago, but there's so many things to do around it, besides, of course, the city, no?
Mm-hmm.
And now we continue going down, and now we go to the south, to the region of Los Lagos, no? And then we have Puerto Varas, and as you probably know, this has a really strong German influence. You know the story, Fran? How did it happen? I think it was the German migrants that came to Puerto Varas.
Yes, well, the south of Chile has a lot of influence from Germans and Italians, and many like the main families in this region are from Europe, and they started to build around Puerto Varas and Frutillar. So the architecture and the culture of that place, it might relate to some European traditions.
Yes, I like that you know, when you drive around that, you always find Kuchen being offered, no?
Yes, yes,
Really nice, a really nice cake.
yes. There
And
you can have
some,
Kuchen and strudel and yeah, all that
yeah,
words. The only German words I know.
yes. And then, you know, the classic highlights in that region, besides the beautiful landscape in general, it's the Osorno volcano, which is perfect, beautiful here. And then, of course, Puerto Montt, that's where the airport is located. Todos los Santos Lake, that is like the lake that is the big lake in the region. And Petrowe Falls also. That's one of the places that are visited when you are around Puerto Varas. And from Puerto Varas, or well, arriving in Puerto Montt Airport, we want to put emphasis in Chiloé. Chiloé, as you know, is the island that it's near that region on the sea, and it's unique. It has a blend of history and myth, and most of the people in Chiloé have been fishermen, so there's like a deep history of relationship with the sea and the myths associated with that. It's also a very picturesque place because you have the houses in palafittes, and they have really strong traditions, like, for example, the curanto, which is a mixture of seafood and meat cooked underneath the ground. So we would always encourage, if people have time, to visit Chiloé, because it's in another side of Chile, you know, and again, there's beautiful hotels there as well, and you can cross in the ferry, or you can also take flights directly to Chiloé. In Puerto Varas, we also do a really nice excursion where we visit a Mapuche house, and this is Sonia. She's a Mapuche elder, and she has opened her house and her family to let people understand a little bit about the Mapuche culture, which is a very strong culture. In fact, you know, even the Incas, when they tried to go to the south of Chile, of what now is Chile, they couldn't defeat the Mapuches. So until now, the Mapuches have been resisting in this southern area of Chile, and you can visit Arruca, which is how the traditional houses are called, and maybe do some activities or just sit and sip some coffee and talk a little bit about the Mapuche cosmovision as well. And that we organize from Puerto Varas. So, you know, besides the landscape, Chile still has a lot of life culture, and that's what we want you, that's what we want you to have, you know. It's not only the beautiful or inclusives, but it's also the life culture and the people, and getting to meet the artisans and cooking with the people, what is our invitation for your guests. And of course, you can then go and sleep in a magnificent hotel, but it's about these things that are not easily found that we want to propose, that we want to add in the itineraries to make it more profound. And again, near Puerto Varas, we have beautiful Marimari Hotel, you know, which is a reserve, and it's all private cabins. You can fly by helicopter from Puerto Montt to Marimari, and over there you can do different activities like kayak, walking, many different kinds of activities. Beautiful cuisine, all again with a strong sense of place related to the Mapuche culture. In fact, the cook is from the Mapuche communities. So this is also a nice retreat. We see it more like a retreat. Fran, again, your turn in adding all your know-how to this region.
Yes, well, Lake District has this strong identity with the indigenous communities, as Maru said. And also, if you want to add some adventure to the trip, we have this lake, as the name says, it's the Lake District. We have many lakes and rivers where you can do rafting, kayaking, canoeing, you can visit volcanoes. So you can have all these adventures one day, then you can visit an indigenous community, and then you can rest in an all-inclusive hotel or a really nice hotel. So it's a perfect mixture of identity and adventure. And also, Chiloé is a really nice place to go because it's not always included in Chile, but it has, I believe, one of the most biggest identities in Chile because as it's an island, not many people go there, and you can find most of the traditional stories of Chile there. Like, I don't know if you have heard about La Pincoya, or well, it's a difficult word, but it has many myths and legends that can be really interested for families or kids if they want to know a little bit of this part of Chile.
Yeah, we had this itinerary where we proposed storytelling evening,
Yeah,
remember? And that's the
with
idea, no?
costumes. Yes.
Yes, for the kids. It was a big family that was arriving to Chiloe, and it was really a hit. People really enjoy it, and it was a fun way to understand a little bit more about the culture in that area. And now we keep going south, and we reach the north of what is called Patagonia. And here we have Aysén, as the main city. This is also where Carretera Austral starts, and some of our self-drive experiences also start. So here we have beautiful national parks. In fact, Chile is probably one of the countries that has more national parks. And in this area of Patagonia, there are many national parks. And in this case, we have Parque Nacional Patagonia. So we have it near there. And we have beautiful formations, like this is the marble chapel that we can visit as well and have a picnic nearby. So this area is more about the wilderness and the landscape. And of course, this is where starts the Carretera Austral, the self-drive plan. So as I was saying, you have the glaciers, you can enjoy some kayak. We love to throw some picnics. Sometimes we get a little bit of ice from the glaciers as well to learn about the geology. And we have some homestays, but we also have some small hotels. Here we don't have big hotels. Well, we have Explora, no, in Parque Nacional Patagonia, but most of them are smaller homestays. And this is also a great destination for people that are into fishing, for instance. So that's really nice. Actually, Tropic started wanting to work mainly in this area, in Aysén. Then we realized that it was a little bit too niche, and we started exploring other options in the rest of Patagonia and Atacama and the whole of Chile. And we have really strong partners in each of these regions, but we do our own operations in central Chile. Fran, do you want to add anything about this beautiful area? Because then we go
Yes.
off to the south.
Yes, of course. In Carretera Austral, it's a big region, so we have to take in consideration the distances between Balmaceda Airport, where people mostly arrive. Um, there might be like starting from 2 to 5 hours from the airport to any hotel nearby. So we have to take that into consideration. Of course, a long drive, but still you can stop in different national parks, as Maru said. In there we have Cerro Castillo, we have Parque Nacional Patagonia, we have Tamango, and of course, well, we have the Explora Hotel, but also little lodges like Mallín Colorado. This is a little lodge located in Caleta Tortel. No, sorry, in Puerto Guadal. And this is our family-owned lodge. They arrived to the region. They fell in love with the place, and they started to build this house that little by little started to grow. And they have a small quantity of rooms. They offer excursions, meals, and it's a really, really nice place if you want to disconnect, but also connect with yourself and with the nature around. So I really recommend Mallín Colorado Lodge.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
And I think that's the story with many of these lodges, no? Especially
Yes.
in areas like that. People fall in love with the place because it's so beautiful, and then they create a lodge with so much love because it's like their home as well. No, it's like an extended home. So we have Mallín Colorado, and there was the other one that we really like,
Barraco Lodge, that's
Barraco
also located,
Lodge.
but it's nearer to Puerto Montt. But still, we can arrange Barraco Lodge starting because in Chile, mainly if you want to fly from one place to another, you have to go back to Santiago. But the good thing about Puerto Montt and Balmaceda is that you can connect a flight between Puerto Montt and Balmaceda in one day. So you don't have to go back to Santiago. So it's a good combination to mix the Lake District with maybe this Barraco Lodge and then go to Balmaceda, and we can do something in like a self drive or stay there in Explora maybe if you want, but we can do that mix.
And I believe there's also flights from Puerto Montt or Balmaceda to Natales, to Puerto
Yes.
Natales or Punta Arenas, which is where we are going now, to the southern Patagonia. So yeah, you see the logistics in Chile are not as seamless as they seem, even though they usually everything works, the highways are really good, a lot of really well communicated, but sometimes the flights don't operate all the days, and maybe some circuits they operate, but not all of the circuits. So we need to know that. You need to know that in order to plan accordingly and to let us help you with the planning of the flights. And this area that we're going now, which is southern Patagonia, the ideal is that people arrive to Puerto Natales. And we don't have flights every day, and especially when it's wintertime, because Puerto Natales is much near the national park. If you arrive in Punta Arenas, you will have, ahead of you like a 3-hour drive to the national parks and where most of the lodges are located. But again, Punta Arenas in itself, it's a beautiful city. It's, it has this very monumental architecture of the 19th century. It doesn't seem that such a big city is in this isolated area, but it's an important city in the south of Chile. So, if you have the time, you can spend one night in Punta Arenas and explore it and learn about the different stories around that. Like when Ernest Shackleton came to discover, he wanted to plant his flag in the South Pole, but he was beaten by Amundsen. But still, he had his boat that was, I remember, the Endurance. The Endurance was there in Antarctica for one whole year. They survived, and then they went to look for help, and eventually they found help in Punta Arenas, and the Piloto Pardo went to Antarctica with this small vessel and rescued the whole crew. The whole crew of the Endurance was saved. So there's these stories about the first discoveries of Antarctica, and again, like I was saying, it's a beautiful city. So that's for Punta Arenas, but usually we would recommend that you fly to Puerto Natales if you are short on time here. And that's near the national park. So this is 3 hours, 30 minutes from Santiago. And it's all about beautiful Parque Nacional Torres del Paine, amazing. The Serrano Glacier, the Milodon Cave, those are like the main attractions. Beautiful area to see pumas, condors everywhere, and raw nature. Possibility to do horseback riding. And there's different options of hotels here as well. So in Puerto Natales, we have the Singular, which is the brother of the singular in Santiago, which used to be the place where the sheep were packaged to go, like slaughtered and all the wool was getting out of them. So they have used this old facility to create this beautiful boutique hotel. Then we have Awasi, which is in the park, which is very secluded, very unique. All again, a strong sense of place and a lot of orientation in service. Really, this kind of service that is very proactive and constantly reading the guest's mind. We have Tierra, also beautiful architecture. All of these are all inclusive. And well, this is my favorite, Estancia Cerro Guido. Why? Because Estancia Cerro Guido has the perfect blend of culture and nature, because this is a working estancia. You still see the people or the gauchos from Chile actually herding the sheep with the sheepdogs. And in fact, Estancia Cerro Guido is the reason why the structure for the singular exists, because this estancia was the one that produced the biggest amount of sheep that was then exported. So actually they opened after the pandemic for tourism. They have refurbished the old house, the old estancia, and today it is really comfortable. They have a really nice tourism plan because you blend again, the classical gaucho life, eating an asado one day, and then you can go and do the puma tracking because they have Fundación Cerro Guido as well, where they are working to protect the pumas in the area, and they have like really good puma trackers. So it's a really nice blend of nature because of where it is located and the culture that set in this area of Chile as well. And they also opening like Explora and other hotels in winter. And one of the things that we want to develop and we're working is trying to, invite guests to come in winter as well. We know that it's not the perfect season. Everybody comes in summer. But the cool thing about winter is that, first of all, you'll be practically alone. Not completely alone because some people do come in winter, but I mean, you're not going to see much more people on the different routes. And it's beautiful, as you can see from the pictures. It's easier to track the pumas because, you can follow their footprints on the snow. And nowadays, people are not as scared as winter as they used to be. I think that we've seen that there's a tendency for people wanting to go to cooler destinations. And also nowadays, everybody has the proper gear. So it's a little bit escaping from the beaten path, but mainly because of the season that you decide to go. And you can combine this with Atacama or Rapa Nui or Santiago because the rest of Chile is not seasonal. It's basically Patagonia because of winter time. But you can still do pretty much all the activities and be more immersed in yourself and feel more in contact with Patagonia as well. And then at the last point, and here we have Fran, is Tierra del Fuego, which is, the last border before Antarctica. Here it's again about nature, seeing the colonies of penguins. And we are working there with a really nice lodge called Lodge Deseado. And now I leave to Fran to complement what I've said and let us know a little bit about her inside information on this beautiful region.
Yes, well, personally, I love Patagonia. I have worked in Patagonia before, previously before Tropic, so I know the region really well. And this year, I went to do the Macizo Paine circuit. That's in Torres del Paine. That's the 8-day walking circuit. So I have a really nice insight of the of the park. So if you have any doubts about the treks or anything, I know the park really well. And also had the opportunity to go to Tierra del Fuego. Tierra del Fuego is not as much not visited as much as Torres del Paine, which is a good thing because you won't find big crowds, and is equally or even more beautiful than Torres del Paine. In order to get to Tierra del Fuego, you have to cross from Punta Arenas to Porvenir area, you have to take a ferry through the Magellan Straits. This is an hour-and-a-half ferry. It has a cafeteria inside, and also you can go outside and see the strait, and you might be even lucky enough to see some dolphins and whales. You arrive to Porvenir, and from Porvenir you can go to the king penguin colony, which is one of the only colonies of king penguins in America, because the other one is in the Antarctica and in the Falkland Islands. So here you will see the penguin colony, which is located here. It's a colony, so you can find it the whole year round. And from here, you can, well, stay in Porvenir and go back to Punta Arenas, or you can go further south, more even than Punta Arenas, and go to the Lodge Deseado, which is located in the Lake Deseado region of Tierra del Fuego. And in here, they have a big sense of community, because they work with people who live in Tierra del Fuego and have lived there their whole life. They have trekkings, they have fishing, also a local community and food. So this is a really nice lodge. And if you want to go even further from Lodge Deseado, you can go to Caleta Maria, which is where we work with a local supplier, provider, that they do a navigation through the fjords of Tierra del Fuego in the last national park of Chile, called Parque Nacional Alberto Agostini. That is where I have the picture in there. You are literally like meters away from the glaciers, and you're the only people in the whole national park, because this is the only boat that goes through the fjords. It's like maximum 8 people per excursion, and the captain of the boat cooks a meal there, a lunch with local ingredients. He even fishes some fish, of course, of the place, and he makes some dishes with this, and it's a really nice experience. And well, Tierra del Fuego, as I said, is difficult to get because you have to go through this ferry. But I recommend to stay at least 2 or 3 nights in order to get to experience, well, the king penguin colony, Parque Nacional Alberto Agostini, and also you can do some trekkings. There are natural parks, and well, it has like this special magic. And I really recommend to maybe not go only to Tierra del Fuego, but to complement it with Torres del Paine. You can arrive to Puerto Natales, go to Torres del Paine, and then drive to Punta Arenas, stay 1 night in Punta Arenas, and complement it with Tierra del Fuego.
Thank you, Fran. Well, you can see she's passionate about this area, and why not?
Yes.
No? It's really unique. And of course, we work with all the hotels, and we every once in a while we visit to see how everything is running, and to know exactly what to recommend according to your guests' needs and what they are looking for, because there's many different options in Patagonia of hotels. So we have, like, from the super upscale to some that are lower budget, some that are more focused in nature, some that have also the cultural component. And our promise to you is to be your eyes and ears on the ground to really know which would be the best option for your clients, and of course having a great commission as well. And now off we go to beautiful Easter Island, the Polynesian part of Chile. And as you know, Easter Island is still a mysterious place. It has a very strong identity of its own. Well, some people say that Inca Tupac Yupanqui from Peru came, or Tawantinsuyo at that moment, came on his reed boat to Easter Island, and that's why there are some walls that seem like Inca walls. But there's a lot of stories around that, around the Moais and the importance of that. So it is a lot about the archaeology and the Moais and this beautiful island and the different rituals of Rapa Nui. And of course, here there are also plenty beautiful hotels. We haven't put them all in the presentation, but we work with all of them. Just want you to give you a sneak peek about the differences of Chile. You know, this is completely another area. And with that being said, after we've gone through the whole of Chile really quickly, and then off we went to Easter Island, we want to thank you for your time. This is our beautiful Chile team. This is Fran here, Maria Elena, Fernanda, that oversees costs and product. And we have also here part of the sales team and our own tour team and operations team as well. So thank you so much for your time.